This is your family's first and most important line of defense against Mother Nature. When she strikes, make sure you call the people that I trust, my family and friends at Exterior Home Solutions.
Alongside Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the Exterior Home Solutions 2-minute drill on this Tuesday. Got to hear from Tim Banks, and it's going to be a challenge on Saturday. He knows that, and how they defend and how they scheme it up to try to defend Jalen Milroe probably will dictate whether Tennessee's defense continues to play at a high level.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Tennessee's not giving up more than 20 points to an opponent all season long. That's certainly going to be a real challenge this week. When you talk about Milroe, you talk about Ryan Williams, and you throw in the challenge of not having Keenan Peely. It's very evident in Tim Banks and his answer what Keenan Peely meant to him and meant to this defense on and off the field, and how significant of a loss that is. They're going to have to get creative at the linebacker level because of a lack of depth, and they're going to try to be a little more versatile, do some things a little bit differently than they've done it with their leading tackler not being on the field. It's a tough loss for Tim Banks.
It really is. You know, Caleb Perry will shift into being the backup middle linebacker. And being able to play both positions is something that, he's going to have to get used to.
Yeah, and that's something that Coach Inge works on. And I think you can see scenarios where you see T. Lander and Perry on the field at the same time, and you can see Perry and Aaron Carter on the field at the same time. I mean, they're going to have to be a little more diverse and versatile and do some things a little bit differently. But that's a group that works a long time, a lot of film study. They feel prepared, but it is going to be different for them at the linebacker spot, and that's a challenge when you talk about Milroe's legs and some of the underneath stuff that Alabama can do with Ryan Williams.
The one thing that I think Tennessee can hang your hat on is they're so deep up front. They're such a veteran-led defensive line. The lack of depth at linebacker maybe can be masked a little bit with the fact that Tennessee up front is really good.
Well, and we'll see what Tennessee does up front, how creative they get. We saw last week, Florida does things differently than Alabama, but you saw James Pierce move around. That was a little bit of a tweak to the scheme because of what Florida did with their two tight end sets and stuff. But how much of that does that play into the game? Do they do some different things where maybe they drop somebody into some coverage and try to show some different looks that way? And then obviously you got to keep your rush integrity and your gap integrity and your rush lanes because you can't let Milroe squeeze out. But you're right, Tennessee's got to lean on that depth up front. They've got to protect the middle of the field, and those corners are going to have to hold up well because they're probably going to be on some island opportunities out there one-on-one with some things they have to do schematically.
And when in doubt, if you were to run into another injury at linebacker, Bryson Eason, the old high school linebacker, MVP of the state championship game with Whitehaven once upon a time, he said, once we get in the 20s, I could totally drop back and play some.
I tell you what, he made a heck of a play on the twist where he had to tackle for loss in overtime. I mean, in space, he played really well there. Great play recognition. I don't think he's running sideline to sideline in the open field like he once did, but he's a really good football player who's playing really well, great personality. I think those guys are looking forward to this challenge. They know it's a challenge, but they're looking forward to what's in front of them on Saturday, and a great home crowd and a great opportunity against an Alabama team that desperately needs a win and a Tennessee team that needs a win as well. Both these teams trying to stay in the playoff race.
It's a must-win for both, especially if they don't want to have to go into the month of November needing to run the table. He is Brent Hubbs. I'm Austin Price.